Every life is a story, and every story has an ending, a dark inevitability we all must face. Mine began not with a grand finale, but with the quiet end of another man. Mr. McKay was the kind, solitary man of our neighborhood, a person whose smile belied a deep, heartbreaking loss. His wife and unborn child died years ago in a tragic accident, a wound that never seemed to heal. It was grief, I suspect, that finally claimed him, though the town whispered rumors of suicide or a peaceful passing. With no family, his possessions were auctioned, and it was there, amidst the remnants of a life, that I unknowingly acquired the instrument of my downfall, an old 8-year-old laptop. Despite the wipe, my young, tech-savvy mind was determined to see what secrets lay beneath the surface. Hours of effort recovered Mr. McKay's files, and at first I found only solitaire and utility emails. But then I discovered a hidden, obscure program, simply named Tavia. Clicking it opened a live webcam feed, a dingy, dimly lit room with a cot. It looked like a low-budget set, perhaps the lonely man's secret vice. I should have closed it and walked away, but a terrible curiosity held me captive. I became obsessed, checking the empty feed constantly. Then one morning I saw her. Curled on the cot was a young woman, perhaps 20, frighteningly emaciated, her face etched with absolute hopelessness. My initial thought of a dark fetish quickly shifted to sheer horror. This was criminal. This girl was starving, and her captor, Mr. McKay, was dead. She was doomed to die in her prison. Logic fled. I didn't call the police. I convinced myself I had to be the hero. A frantic search of his emails revealed he owned a small, undeveloped patch of land nearby. I ran, convinced this was where she was hidden. I burst into the clearing. Nothing but trees. Then I nearly tripped over a small handle sticking out of the ground, a homemade hatch. Exhilaration mixed with a sickening dread. I ripped the hatch open, and the stench of death and decay rose up to meet me. I called down the tunnel, but only silence answered. I had no choice but to descend. The further I climbed down the rickety ladder, the warmer and more humid the air became. At the bottom, in the dim light, that horrible smell intensified. I moved through a labyrinth of metal tunnels, overwhelmed by the eerie feeling of being watched. Then I saw it. In a small room, a baby's crib. Horror turned to blinding rage. Did McKay kidnap her as a child? But a closer look chilled me to the bone. The sides of the crib were horribly slashed from the inside, covered in long black hairs and strange purple stains. I pressed on, finding bones of small animals littering the floor of one chamber, and then the dingy bedroom from the webcam. The woman was gone. On the cot, a magazine from the late 90s, plastered with the same woman's face, looking only slightly healthier. How could she not have aged in 25 years? My question was answered in a nearby tunnel. Lying lifeless on the floor was the captive woman's body. A huge, horrific tear split her back. It wasn't a stab wound, it was an internal rip. Inside the wound, purple ooze and more black hairs. In a flash of sick realization, all the strange details converged. The unnatural humidity, the strange soil on the floor, the threads in the corners, the shed skin on the ground. I was standing in a giant, underground spider terrarium. A small, rapid scuttling sound came from a side tunnel. I turned, and the sight that followed is burned into my mind. A massive arachnid, dark purple and covered in long black spikes, emerged. The size of a jungle cat. As it moved, its 8 spiny legs snapped together, transforming into grotesque humanoid arms and legs. Its thorax cracked and reared up into a sickly human spine. The creature scuttled on all fours, and I knew it was heading for the hatch. I bolted, sprinting through the tunnels toward the light. I saw it, the square of sunlight. But I was too late. I only glimpsed the flash before the hatch slammed down, locking me into a silent, humid tomb. I battered the cold steel until my knuckles bled and my nails split. "This doesn't happen!" I screamed into the void, answered only by my own echo. Despair set in. I was trapped. I found the kitchen, a water jug with only a few drops left. At best, I had days. I stumbled back to the bedroom, and then I saw what my panic had missed. Across from the cot was a computer monitor and a live webcam feed showing my own bedroom at home. The realization struck me like a physical blow. The creature was watching me through my laptop's camera. It had taken the woman's form on the screen to lure me here, and I had blindly rushed to my prison. I had unleashed a nightmare. Then a shadow crossed the screen. The creature, now nearly human-formed, stood in my room. It wore my clothes and had my shaggy brown hair, but its face was a horrifying mosaic of arachnid features, long pincers, and 8 jet black eyes. As I watched, the spider face melted into a sickly white human mask, slowly molding itself into my face. A terrifyingly perfect replication of my mouth formed, flashing rows of teeth sharper than mine. I stared at my exact hideous double. A macabre grin spread across its face just as I heard my mother call from downstairs. The beast replied in the flawless imitation of my own voice. Then it shut the laptop, leaving me in my eternal, inescapable darkness.